Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform where creatives can stand out with their online presence. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rebecca, otherwise known as Hip Knit Hooray online, and today I'm going to be sharing my spring knitting plans with stash yarn. So this video might be coming a little bit late. It's mid-April now, so I wasn't really sure if I was going to release this video, although I do really like seasonal planning for my knitting projects. So yeah, it was just a little bit late and I wasn't sure if people would still be interested, but I got inspired to film this video because I released a video about 3 weeks ago now. It was a cable knit sweaters for spring pattern inspiration video and a chat through what my next cast on would be, and I accidentally deleted that video. I think there's just a little bit of a glitch on YouTube, so when I went to upload my next video, my podcast, there was like an error message saying that this video didn't upload properly, and so I deleted it, but it was actually the video that I posted. So that was very unfortunate, and I learned through the YouTube community page that deleting a video is irreversible, and I already deleted the original footage, so I couldn't re-export and upload again, so that video is just gone. And so I was inspired to film another spring knit video to kind of cheer myself up, and I think they're fun as well, so hopefully you're interested, and I guess if you've clicked on this video you are somewhat interested in hearing about some spring knitting plans. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm filming it now, and it's going to follow the same format as all of my other seasonal planning videos where I have stash yarn already picked out for these projects, and I have a general concept in mind, and I'll be sharing a few patterns, so we can just get into it. The first concept, I guess, is one that I will just mention really quickly because I already started on my spring knitting plans with this project here. You would have seen this yarn in that now deleted video, but also in my last podcast episode. This is Knit Picks Aloft and Palette in the shade Tarragon, and my first spring knitting plan is the Tulip loop sweater by Other Loops. I'm really excited for the Tulip loop sweater. I'm knitting it sort of off gauge, so the pattern calls for DK and fingering weight on 4.5 millimeter needles, and I am using fingering weight and mohair on 3.75 millimeter needles, so I think it's going to be a really nice lightweight cabled sweater that's still going to be, I think, a good layering piece for spring on like cooler evenings, rainy days. I think mohair and wool sweater is still going to work. So this is the first spring cast on. Love the tulip cable motif, and I think it's going to be a nice layering piece. So that's the first plan very quickly. The second one is going to be with this yarn here. So this is Isire Tivini in the shade 100 and Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the shade navy blue. So I really want to knit a very basic stockinette sweater with a detachable collar. I think that that is a really nice design. It's a very sweet design that you can dress up with like skirts or wear on top of dresses. You can wear it to the office as well, or you can remove the collar and have a totally different look. And the first design that I was looking at, and kind of what inspired this concept in general, is the Klara blouse by Maria's Versden. This is a relatively new pattern. I think it was released about a month ago now, and it's fingering weight and mohair. So Sandisgarn Sunday and tin silk mohair on 4 millimeter needles. And I like how this pattern includes the instructions for both the sweater as well as the detachable collar. So for the sweater, it's knit top down. It's a raglan construction. And the raglan stitches, I think, are set pretty wide, which I like. It creates a really nice elongated silhouette. It's a nice fit along the shoulders as well. And the hems are finished along the bottom as a folded hem, and then the sleeves and the neckline are finished with an I-cord edge. The sweater has balloon sleeves, which is not really my favorite, so they're pretty wide, and then they taper very quickly towards the I-cord sleeve hem or sleeve cuff. And for the detachable collar, it's knit top down with circular round yoke increases, and then the scalloped hem is shaped with short rows, and then there's an I-cord edge that goes all the way around the collar, and then you have two thin I-cord ties for the top of the collar. I just don't know if I like how this sweater looks without the collar. I'm not the biggest fan of the I-cord hem for the neckline, and also the balloon sleeves. As I mentioned, I don't really like the look of balloon sleeves. So that's something I would modify anyways, and I don't know if I'd wear the sweater without the collar, so this piece would be less versatile for me. So that's when I went digging on Ravelry, trying to find some detachable collar patterns, and I really couldn't find very much that included both the sweater and the collar. So I did find some detachable collar patterns, and I'm just going to knit a very basic stockinette sweater if I don't knit the Klara blouse. So what I was thinking is the no frills sweater by Petite Knit, which is a super popular pattern. There's, I think, over 11,000 projects on Ravelry, so I think most people that are watching this video already know about this sweater. It's knit with fingering and lace weight on 4mm needles. It's a top-down raglan that has pretty fitted sleeves, but a very relaxed body. I think it would be a really nice base because it has a very nice, professional, smart look to it with the more fitted sleeves. Just a very basic piece that I think I would wear on its own, but then you can dress it up with the collar pretty easily. The one thing is with this with this sweater design is the 1x1 rib neckline along the top may look a little funny with a collar. So the two collar designs that I'm going to chat about shortly, I think we'll be able to cover that pretty nicely. The collars fit pretty high up, and knit in a darker color like this, I think you might not notice the 1x1 rib hem clashing with the collar underneath. So I think it should be okay with the two collar designs. So the first one that I would knit with this yarn after the no frills sweater is collar number 2 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I actually never saw this design before in My Favorite Things Knitwear pattern library. I think it's one of her less common designs, I would say. I only found it when I was trying to specifically find lace collars. It's really beautiful. It's fingering weight on 3mm needles. It's knit bottom up, and it has these radiating columns of eyelet lace, and then there's a small button closure along the top. I really like this one. I think that the lace motif looks pretty simple, easy to knit, a really quick project. The only thing is with the gauge, it's only knit with fingering weight yarn, so I think this would be a little bit too heavy to hold together, so I would just probably have to knit it with Isire Tvini. But I don't know if that would look a little bit funny because it would have a slightly different color and slightly different texture without the mohair. So I don't know if I would do this collar, but I do really like the lace motif. The second one is the Victorian lace collar by Kristin Orme. So this is knit with sport weight yarn on 3.75mm needles, and this collar has a more intricate lace design out of all the ones that I'm mentioning now. It's knit bottom up following a chart, and then there's also a buttonhole closure along the top, but I think again you could easily modify that to be an I-cord tie as well. So I think I'm leaning towards this Victorian lace collar a little bit more with this yarn here. I think that it's really beautiful, super dainty, and I think lace collars are just a great scrap yarn project. I mean, I don't have to knit it from scratch and knit the sweater and the collar. I could always take some of the single skeins that I have left over from other sweater projects and knit a collar. I think that they are really quick to knit up, and they're a really fun way to change the look of sweaters that you already have, dress up different sweater designs. So I think they're a really fun accessory. Before we get into the next concept or plan, I wanted to chat about Squarespace, who is the sponsor of today's video.
Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a website. You can use Blueprint AI, which is Squarespace's AI-enhanced website builder, or you can choose from a curated set of professionally designed templates. The templates are organized by type or topic, so whether you need a website to showcase your online shop, travel blog, or an upcoming event like a wedding, you can save time by filtering the design templates on the side here and finding the perfect website for your needs. Once everything is set up, every Squarespace website and online store has integrated SEO tools to optimize how your site shows up in search results and increase traffic to your page. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/hypknithooray and use the code hypknithooray to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
The next knitting plan that I have is with this yarn here. So this is Knit Picks Stroll in the shade Cork, and then Knitting for Olive Merino in the shade Licorice. So both of them are fingering weight merino yarns, and I really want to knit a even striped sweater. So the first pattern that I was looking at is the Tombow Tee by Florence Miller. This is an all-over striped tee, which I would just extend the sleeves to be a long sleeve sweater. It's knit with fingering weight on 3mm needles, and it's a top-down saddle shoulder construction. So you first cast on the saddle shoulder flat, and then you work increases to shape both the top of the saddle shoulder as well as the front and the back yoke as well. And then you separate for the front and the back until you join in the round again for under the arm for the body. I really like the look of this tee, which I will be turning into a sweater. The stripe placement along the saddle shoulder and the increases really line up well. You don't really see any jogs or unevenness. I think that Florence put a lot of attention and detail into making sure that it looks really neat, which it does. I really like the look. I also really like how saddle shoulders fit on me, and I've been trying to knit, or meaning to knit, I guess, more fingering weight garments because I think that the drape is great. It's a little bit more of an economical project as well because I am not holding mohair with everything. So I'm definitely interested in this design, and I think it would be a really easy modification to just extend the sleeves because they're a pretty relaxed fit, I would say, as a t-shirt. So I would just knit them probably just straight down. And I haven't really seen a long sleeve version of this project yet, but I know that Florence is working on a Tombow sweater. I think that one does have mohair though, but I kind of do want to wait and see what that sweater looks like before I cast on the tee, because I do think it would be a really stunning, gorgeous design. I love the saddle shoulder, but I think the tee or fingering weight on 3mm needles would be a nice piece. It's like a thinner fabric for spring. I think I could even probably wear it on cooler summer days as well with like shorts or a skirt. So yeah, kind of my first idea for this yarn here. And then the second one is the Complement Sweater by Strikke. So I may have been influenced to pick this design partly because of the color combination the designer picked. She picked a very similar brown and black combination. The brown is a little bit lighter in the sample, but it's a really beautiful color combination, and it's just a really nice basic sweater. It's fingering and mohair on 4mm needles. It's a top-down 2-stitch raglan increase construction, which has a really neat transition between the 2x2 rib and then the 2-stitch raglan increases as well. And the sweater has short rows to shape the neckline, so a really nice comfortable fit. And the sleeves are pretty fitted that taper slightly towards the hem. So again, another sleeve construction that I like the look of over balloon sleeves. I do think that I could take an existing raglan sweater pattern that I already have in my pattern library and just modify it to add stripes. It's a very simple modification, but I wouldn't mind supporting the designer, of course. And also, I haven't really knit a Strikke pattern while I had a YouTube channel, so I think it would be also a nice opportunity to review her pattern writing as well. So I'm kind of tempted to knit this one, but I don't have the mohair for Knit Pick Stroll. I do have some black mohair that I could pair with the Knitting for Olive. So that's a consideration because it would be more economical to just go with the Tombow tee. But this is a really cute design, so something that I am considering, and those are the two patterns that I'm debating between for this plan. The next plan that I have involves this cobalt blue yarn here, which is something that I've held up in a lot of seasonal planning videos, so I think it just goes to show that I really like this color. I just can't decide on what I want to knit with it. So this is Knit Picks Palette and Knit Picks Aloft. The same combination that I'm using for the Tulip loop sweater. I really like both of these yarns from Knit Picks. And I really want to knit a very bright, bold slipover that I could wear over just like a plain cotton t-shirt, or over a like I have an eyelet blouse in my wardrobe that I think would be really nice underneath a mohair slipover for the spring. So I think in this bright cobalt blue would be really fun. So I have two potential options. The first one is the Hannah slipover by the Knit Purl Girl. This is another recent release, and I loved all of the samples that Sophie knit, especially the one where she had all of these mismatched buttons. I think it was really cool. So this slipover is knit with DK weight yarn on 4mm needles, and it's a top-down contiguous shoulder. So you shape the top of the shoulder while working the increases for the front and the back. And then you knit the front and the back separately before joining them together in the underarm. And if you're knitting the version without the button band, you'd be knitting in the round. But if you're knitting the version with the button band, you'd be knitting the rest of the slipover flat. So the pattern includes those two options to either have the button band or without the button band. So really like the versatileness of this pattern, kind of like a more 2-in-1 pattern option. And then the slipover is finished with just a very simple 1x1 rib along all of the hems. And as I was mentioning, I really like the mismatch button option. I think it looks so cool. And there's a textile museum in Toronto that sells all of these vintage buttons. So I think it'd be a really fun outing as well to go to the textile museum and maybe pick out some buttons for the slipover. I don't know if maybe this blue is too bold of a color for that option. I don't know if I really like the sample because it's like a neutral slipover with all of those mismatched buttons, whereas the blue, it might be a little bit too out there for me personally. So I don't know about that, but I do like the slipover as well without the button band, or you could just obviously use the same buttons for the slipover. So that's the first option that I was looking at. And then the second one is a slightly different look, but I think would also look really nice in this yarn. It is the Vest Taipei by Mochi Knits. So this is DK weight on 4mm needles, and it's this all over rib, cable, and textured stitch, which, as I mentioned in previous videos, I think cable or textured knits work really well for Knit Picks palette. It's just a really basic fingering weight Peruvian Highland wool that just blooms really nicely with textured stitches after blocking. So the Vest Taipei is worked top down. You work the back panel flat, and then you pick up stitches along the top for the two front panels, and then you join the work in the round. The armhole hems are a double folded hem, a pretty small subtle double folded hem, and then the neckline and then the bottom of the slipover are finished with 1x1 twisted rib. I think that the double folded hem for the armholes is actually quite nice. I haven't had a lot of luck knitting double folded hems before for pieces. They kind of just flare out, and I don't really love the look of them compared to just a basic 1x1 rib, but I think this one looks really great when looking at multiple projects on Ravelry, so I'm very hopeful. I think maybe because it's a little bit more subtle, it just works a little bit nicer, and I really love this slipover with this yarn here, but I would think it would also look really lovely to knit a more fitted version as a summer top. If I were to knit it with this yarn, I think I would do like a, as I mentioned, like a more oversized slipover to wear, or maybe not oversized, but a more relaxed slipover to wear over the t-shirts and blouses. But I think this would also be beautiful as just more of a summer tank if you worked with a more summer appropriate fiber. So that's the next knitting plan that I have. Really love this cobalt blue. Maybe I'll cast something on with this yarn for this season, or maybe you'll see it in a future seasonal planning video, as it continues to always follow me into these plans, but I never cast anything on with it, so we'll see. So that's the next knitting plan. And then the last knitting plan that I have is not for me because I am planning to knit a few small baby knit projects for a friend that's having a baby. So I am kind of struggling to find patterns that I think would be very practical for new parents because I don't have a baby myself, so I don't really know what's very practical. And I was previously knitting some sweaters for friends that were having babies, but I don't know if it's difficult because if you don't work with a superwash yarn, you have to give them like a lot of care instructions of you can't put this in the dryer and you should probably hand wash it and then lay it flat. And I think that it just makes the sweater like a little bit too precious. So I don't know if they're super practical for people that just don't have a lot of time or a lot of knowledge about natural fibers. So I was thinking that maybe instead of knitting a garment, I could knit some accessories for my friend's baby who's going to be born in June. So I was looking at some accessories, but let me know if you have any pattern suggestions for baby knits that are highly recommended. They work really well. I'd love to hear them down below as I'm still debating between what to cast on. So the first plan that I had was the baby bear bonnet by Knitting for Olive. This is a super popular baby hat pattern, I would say. I have the pattern already, so I'm ready to go. I also think this is really great timing because of the Kid Knits knit along that's hosted by Granola Gear. She's hosting this knit along that you can knit any project for kids, so perfect timing for myself. I'm ready to cast these on. This is knit with fingering and lace weight on 3.5mm needles, and I don't know if you're really supposed to use mohair for a lot of baby knits if babies have like a sensitivity to it. So I was thinking if I don't go with this, I would go with Drops Air. So yeah, we'll see what yarn combination, but the bonnet is knit flat, and you start from the front of the bonnet and then you work increases to shape the little bear ears as well as the crown of the bonnet, and then you shape the back with short rows and decreases, and then you finish off the bonnet with I-cord edges and ties as well. I think that this is such a cute bonnet pattern. I already have it in my pattern library because I've been meaning to knit it because I think it's so cute. I am not the biggest fan of Knitting for Olive patterns. I tried to knit the Yoko top and I just found the pattern instructions were really very confusing. So I have a feeling that this pattern is not going to be the clearest to follow, but it's pretty popular, so there's a lot of project pages on Ravelry with pretty helpful notes that I'm sure I'm going to be referencing. So kind of not really looking forward to that because I already have a feeling it's not going to be the best pattern, but it's a really cute design. So that's the first project plan that I have. And then the second one is baby socks. So I found this baby sock pattern by Tabitha Gandy, and like I was mentioning before, I think that it's a really fun accessory. I'm going to knit it with superwash yarn. And so hopefully my friend doesn't have to be too precious with it, and maybe if they're more like slipper socks for the baby, the maintenance and care of it will be a little bit easier. But I don't know if babies really need to wear socks that often. I don't really know. So I'm not really sure if this is going to be a really quick project. It's knit with fingering weight on 2.25mm needles. There's one size I assume to fit a newborn, but I think that with the rib it's pretty stretchy, so there's two options, either a rib stitch or a cable stitch along the top of the sock, and it's knit top down, heel flap and gusset. So I'm really looking forward to trying out this sock pattern. I think it looks super cute, really nice way to use up scrap yarn, and it's a free pattern as well, so I would say very little risk if it doesn't end up working out as well. So I'm thinking of using this yarn here, which is a unknown yarn to me because I got it at the Knitomatic yarn swap last year, but it's this blue with it's like kind of slightly variegated, so I think it's going to work really well and be very cute for socks. So those were all of my spring knitting plans. Thank you for watching, and thank you so much if you reached this point in the video. I think I'm going to cast on a few of them soon, because I am reaching the point of finishing some of my long-term whips that I have, so really excited for that. And I'm really looking forward to some of these. A lot of these are some nice fitted basics, which is something that I find that I'm kind of lacking in my wardrobe. I have a lot of nice cozy stockinette sweaters, but not really ones that I feel like look professional enough to wear to the office, like to wear to work. So for the no frill sweater and the tombow tee, I think those would be really nice to have a more versatile piece like that where I can dress it up, but also still wear casually as well. So yeah, looking forward to those. I guess you'll see in my next few podcast episodes which of these plans I end up casting on. So until those videos and until I see you in those videos, happy knitting.